Derek Chauvin sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for killing George Floyd. If you haven't already watched my George Floyd decode, please watch it. This is a huge ritual. This confirms pretty much that it was a massive ritual, that Derek Chauvin is an actor playing the role of police officer, and that George Floyd didn't die. Okay? What a huge ritual this is. Derek Chauvin will not spend one day in prison. Okay? It's just an actor. This may as well be law and order. Okay? Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer convicted of murdering George Floyd in Minnesota, has been sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for killing George Floyd. Okay, see it here. Just an absolute ritual. 22-page document was read aloud in the courtroom. 22-page. Society of Jesus equals 79. 79 is a 22nd prime. My word. 22.5 years. The historic sentence brings the Floyd family and our nation one step closer to healing by delivering closure and accountability. Really? It took this long? I know why it took this long. Because it was all by the numbers. And I'll show you right now. So the news was reported on 52 date numerology. Minnesota equals 52. I can't breathe equals 52. And of course, George Floyd died in Minnesota. And his famous last words were, I can't breathe. Actor. He was an actor. Okay? I remember his funeral. The coffin looked like it was like 5'5". Wasn't George Floyd like 6'8"? What happened? They chop his legs off? And who paid for his funeral? Who paid for George Floyd's funeral? Floyd Mayweather. What a joke, guys. What a joke, eh? What a joke. Minnesota equals 110. Justice for George Floyd equals 110. 22 times 5, like 225, like Chauvin was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for killing Floyd, equals 110. Sickening, guys, this. George Floyd died on the 225th day of his age. And Chauvin gets sentenced to 22.5 years for killing him. The day after his death, the Catholic Church of Minnesota settled a lawsuit of $22.5 million for a sexual assault case. Really? Just know George Floyd died at age 46 and the word Catholic equals 46. And the day after he dies, on the 225th day of his age, the Catholic Church of Minnesota settled a lawsuit of $22.5 million for a sexual assault case. Just know the New World Order equals 225, guys. That's what's going on now. Just look into the World Economic Forum. This whole, the new norm is the New World Order. People are not aware of it. They won't accept it. What do you mean, New World Order? What are you talking about? Well, they're basically telling you this is the new norm. There's a New World Order. There's probably going to be a global currency soon. People just dismiss this information because they're either ignorant or they're just too scared to accept it. So content I'm putting out at this point, if you're not even considering it to be genuine, then you are a little bit slow. The Great Tribulation equals 225. We're experiencing that right now. That's why we're going through all these hardships and challenges. Event 201 lasted 225 minutes, guys. 225. And George Perry Floyd equals 201. If you've never heard anything about Event 201, look it up. And if you haven't heard anything about Event 201, that's exactly what's wrong with the media. Okay? They should be reporting Event 201 daily. Because do you know what Event 201 was? It was basically a gathering with the likes of Bill Gates and Melinda Gates sitting down discussing how the world would cope with a pandemic. And a few months later, there's a pandemic. Makes you think, doesn't it, guys? William Henry Gates equals 201. George Perry Floyd equals 201. The name this actor was given. And people will be like, what are you talking about, actor? What are you talking about? He was murdered. This innocent man was murdered by a racist police officer. Because all police officers are racist, because I've seen it in the movies and the news. But do you actually know a racist police officer, guys? No? No? Okay. Again, the power of the media. The power of the media. So the square root of 225 is 15. Very important, because Chauvin was arrested and charged on May the 29th, 2020. And he was arrested and charged on the 150th day of the year, like 15. Hoax equals 15. This is a hoax. George Floyd dying was a hoax. His funeral was a hoax. Okay? What is genuine? The protests. This is where people get confused. There were people in the streets protesting. That was genuine. But why were they protesting? Because they're under mind control. Simple as that. They think they're doing a good thing, these people who protest, when they're doing the opposite. They're pushing the agenda. The 150th day of 2020 left 216 days left in the year, guys. 216. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. How often have I been talking about that number recently? The 216? A lot. A lot. Because 666 is connected to Satan. And this was a satanic ritual, guys. 22.5 years in prison for killing George Floyd, who died on the 225th day of his age, supposedly. Perfectly executed ritual, in my opinion. The span from that date to the news of him being sentenced to 22.5 years in prison is exactly 56 weeks, guys. So I did this. I wanted to see what 225, what day of the year it was, February the 25th. It was the 56th day of the year. Can you believe that? So I'll say this again. The span from that date to the news of him being sentenced to 22.5 years in prison is exactly 56 weeks. 225 was the 56th day of the year. Society of Jesus equals 56. Black Lives Matter equals 56. So the 56th day of the year, 225, left 309 days left in the year, like 39. Chauvin equals 39, the last name of Derek, who supposedly killed George Perry Floyd. And how can we not discuss the 106s, ladies and gentlemen? Black Lives Matter equals 106. I Can't Breathe equals 106. Justice for George Floyd equals 106. You think this is an accident? For those people who are clueless to gematria, who say you can type in whatever you want and get whatever number you want, there's 4 different ciphers, you can cherry pick. It's like, wake up. You don't know anything about gematria, okay? You don't know anything about it, so keep your mouth shut. It's embarrassing. Dismissing this information, these numbers, it's embarrassing. Oh, it's just a coincidence that Chauvin was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison when George Floyd died on the 225th day of his age, and the Catholic Church of Minnesota settled a lawsuit of $22.5 million for a sexual assault case the day after, and that the New World Order equals 225, or Event 201 lasted 225 minutes. Just all coincidence. You're such a conspiracy theorist, Illusion. Yeah. And you're such a coincidence theorist. So let me just show you this as well from the article that they have to say, okay? Just know Chauvin 45, the ritual number. And get this, why they have to say this, okay? It took the jury roughly 10 hours of deliberation to reach their verdict. Floyd, who was 46 years old, died on May the 25th, 2020, after Chauvin, who is white, not sure why we need to hear that, who is white, pinned him to the ground with a knee on his neck as the black man, not George Floyd, as the black man repeatedly said he couldn't breathe. Do you see what they do? You see what they do? There's no need for this. after Chauvin pinned him to the ground, not after Chauvin, who is white, pinned him to the ground with a knee on his neck, as the black man, when they could just put as George Floyd, repeatedly said he couldn't breathe. I can't breathe. Remember? Remember 106, like Black Lives Matter, like justice for George Floyd? See what they do, guys. See how they spin things. The power of words. The power of words, guys. What is this? In the court's view, 270 months, which amounts to an additional 10 years over the presumptive 150-month sentence. 150-month sentence? And he was arrested and charged on the 150th day of the year? What? 22-page document. I'm surprised it's not 22.5-page document. 22.5 years. This historic sentence brings the Floyd family and our nation one step closer to healing by delivering closure and accountability. Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Because it was all about the numbers being perfectly synced. This guy is not going to prison. This guy did not kill George Floyd. People need to wake up. How people still believe the mainstream is beyond me. How people still believe in presidents and that their vote means anything is beyond me. People just don't question things. They don't question things. And it angers me, honestly. Tear-filled victim impact statements. Actors. Actors. Simple as that. Look at them. Look at the state of these people. Look at the state of them. Honestly, when you break all this down and you start watching it, you see that they're terrible actors. It's the same with these professional athletes. When you really see what's going on, it's cringeworthy. But most people don't see through it. They can't see through the illusion of it all. Well, I can. I'm going to keep putting out content. And in my opinion, again, without sounding egotistical, incredible content. Getting to the point of being undeniable. Like, let me just discuss this. That happened a few days ago in football. Karim Benzema, okay, is now the only player in football history to score 2 goals in the same second. So he scored the equaliser against Portugal after 46 minutes and 44 seconds. Then in the second half, France take the lead to go 2-1 up. That big Jesuit number. He scores after 46 minutes and 44 seconds. Like, what? What? How? How does that happen? Again, people say it's a coincidence. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. But there you have it, guys. Derek Chauvin sentenced to 22.5 years in prison for killing George Floyd, who died on the 225th day of his age. What an absolute ritual.